I've signed tons of AI agency clients worth 2 to 4K a month consistently for the last 2 years using a 3-part system that costs almost nothing to run, no ad spend, no paid ads, no retainer to some random lead gen company, just cold outreach and a couple of hires to run the entire system for you. And I want to show you exactly what that actually looks like in practice. One of my one-on-one clients just turned 17 years old, full high school schedule, no time to be on the phone and do cold outbound. And right now he's generating 10 to 18 booked appointments every single day for his AI agency from cold outreach alone. And he's not even doing it himself. I mean, he set a goal to hit 10K a month before his birthday. He hit it, and now he's on track to do $30,000 in a single month. Me and him built this system together. We hired a team with 0 prior hiring experience, and now the calendar just seems to fill itself while he's pretty much in class or doing homework. And that's pretty much how this system goes when you build it right, and that's exactly what I'm gonna show you today. So today, I'm gonna show you 3 parts in full. Part 1 being the offer, okay? If it isn't dialed in, nothing else in this entire video matters at all. I'm gonna show you exactly what makes an offer strong, and more importantly, how we're able to charge 2 to 4K a month per client and not deal with one-time fixed fees and custom development projects. Part 2 is the specific cold outreach that we're doing. I'm going to break down the entire process from start to finish. I'm going to show you the full setup. I'm going to show you what it's supposed to look like, how to actually run it, and then how to know whether or not it's actually working so you can fix it when it isn't. And part 3 is how to remove yourself completely from this entire process, how to find setters, how to train them, how to build a team around booking appointments so you just wake up with a full calendar of appointments without spending hundreds of dollars a day on ads. And just so you understand how insanely valuable this is, every single client that I've signed that's worth like 2 to 4K a month has come from this 3-part system I'm going to show you in today's video. So let's get into it. Okay, so part 1, the offer. I'm going to spend the least amount of time here because honestly, like if you've watched any of my other videos, you've heard this probably multiple times, but I'm including this because if you skip this and go directly to building the cold outreach machine, or more importantly, like trying to remove yourself immediately, I mean, you're going to waste weeks or even months of your time, and think that the system is broken when in actuality, the problem is just your offer. I mean, the offer is the problem 90% of the time. Everyone thinks that the problem is the outreach method and the script or the niche, but most likely it's that the offer isn't strong enough. And here's the simplest way that I can explain this. So there's 3 things that totally determine whether or not your agency succeeds or fails, whether you're able to sign tons of clients or ultimately fall short and not sign any at all. It's the market, the offer, and your ability to sell. Okay, chances are, and this works in like a 3-order succession, right? If your market's normal, like all of ours is, if you're in home improvement, if you're in real estate, if you're in health industries, whatever it is, your market, chances are it's probably normal, unless you're some like fried chicken shop in the middle of a college town, right? And next is the offer. Okay, now the way that this actually works, right, is your offer really determines how easy it is to sell. Okay, like if you're terrible at sales and you have the best offer imaginable, you don't have to sell or be good at sales to sign tons of clients. Vice versa, if your offer is atrocious, you're like really good at sales, like you're amazing at sales, you've taken hundreds of calls, it could still be hard to close clients and have a really bad close rate just because the offer is the problem. There's a reason why my clients are able to sign 3 to 5 new clients that are high ticket every single day. And it's not because they're amazing at sales and I'm the best trainer to make them good at sales. It's more because we installed the best possible offer that is quite literally a no-brainer for all the clients that they work with. So what actually makes an offer good? In my opinion, it needs to be extremely outcome oriented. Okay, there needs to be a direct, tangible outcome of what the actual client gets when working with you. 2, there needs to be a very strong risk reversal. And obviously that this is all from Hormozy, so I can't take credit for this, but you need to have a very strong risk reversal so then you almost front the risk and your client feels completely safe. And we'll actually go over how to do that in a second here. And then 3, I think the prospect needs to actually understand what they're going to get with you. Okay, and now let me give you like a real example here. Here's a weak offer. I'll run Facebook ads for roofers and charge $1,500 a month. Now here's a strong offer. I will give you 30 to 50 leads a month for roofers doing at least $500K a year or more. You only pay me for every single lead you get. That's the only expense. And if I don't deliver at least 15 new appointments in your first month, your next month is completely free. Now, those basically end up being the same thing. You're running Facebook ads and you're getting charged, you're getting paid anywhere between $1,500 and $3K a month for pay per lead. And like those are technically the same offers. They just sound completely different in that packaging. And that offer structure is the biggest indicator of how well you can sell. The way that I built my offer and the way that I teach my clients to build theirs is by looking at what's already working in the marketplace. Do not reinvent the wheel here, okay? Copy what works, make it yours, and improve it over time as you get feedback from the market. That's part one. Okay, so if your offer is an outcome based, fix that, add some kind of risk reversal, whether you front the ad spend or give them refunds if it doesn't work out, whatever that is, and just fix it before you do anything else. Okay, take some time, sit down for an hour, restructure your offer in a way that's actually appealing to your prospect. And I promise you, sales will get so much easier. I mean, you'll go from closing 10% to closing like 50%. That's literally what happened to some of my clients, which doesn't even sound real, but it is. So part two is the actual outreach machine. Okay, this is the cold system. And I'm going to walk you through exactly how to set it up, how it works, how it works inside of GoHighLevel. And I want to be pretty clear about something before I get into this. This is not sexy, okay? This is not some beautiful looking system. There's no fancy algorithm. There's no viral hooks or crazy ad creatives or anything fancy like that. It's literally just a volume game with a system behind it. Okay, so let's start with getting leads, because honestly, none of this matters without leads. But what kind of leads do you actually need to get? Now, this is actually a really important question, and I need you to take some time and really think about this, because let's say I were to do this outreach method on roofers right now. Okay, it probably wouldn't work. I mean, I've been working with roofers for ages, but this wouldn't work right now in the state of the market, just because they've been burned by so many people. So many people have bad products and ultimately have been outreached so many times that they don't hop on meetings like this anymore by doing these outreach methods. So it's like, you need to be very picky about what sub niche you start reaching out to. Okay, if I were you, I would go into a general industry that you're interested in. If it's home improvement, that's great. If it's real estate, that's great. If it's, something else like the medical field, whatever it is, go into that industry, but don't polarize yourself on working with some specific type of person, whether it's a high ticket roofer or remodeler or a window contractor, whatever it is, right? Don't be so picky about who you're actually working with, because if I were to do these outreach methods to roofers or remodelers, I would probably get told to fuck off every single day. I probably won't be able to book any appointments, and that's not because of my skill or my systems, more because of the state of the market. So if I were you right now, and this is what I have all of my guys do, pick a general industry, choose a sub niche inside of that that's very small and not really known, and start doing cold outreach methods to that sub niche. And I promise you, your response rates are going to go through the roof. Your appointment booking rate is going to literally quadruple, and you're going to get like 50 appointments in like 2 or 3 days. And after a couple of weeks of doing this, you'll have maybe a few clients in different sub niche all in one industry. So maybe you have a roofing contractor, maybe you have a window guy, maybe you have a gutter guy, maybe you have a power washer, like whatever it is. You have a few different people in one industry, and then you can figure out which client is the most profitable for you. And then you could just double down on that, run paid ads to them, and just get a lot more people like that. Now that you actually have an idea about like who to actually get leads for, hopefully, you want to go ahead and use this resource called Fuel for the Fire. If you want direct access to this, if you go into my free course video, which is like a 10-hour free course video, in the description of this video, you can get access to the sheet in that video. But basically, this is a way of like 10 different or however many methods, 5 really good methods on how to get tons of leads. Some of these options are completely free. Some of them are paid. I would recommend going on to Fiverr and just buying Google Map leads. There's people that scrape thousands and thousands of Google Map leads, and you just choose a specific sub niche that's very untapped, and basically you just buy leads for that kind of business. And what we do after that is we go ahead and take those leads, we download that CSV from that method, and then we go ahead and import that CSV into something called Clear Out Phone. Now, with Clear Out Phone, what we can actually do is remove all of the landline numbers. And the reason why we need to do this is because we're going to send a ton of SMS messages to companies, and we can't text, all these fixed line and landline numbers. So we need to remove them. And to do that, we basically take that lead list that we get from Fiverr or from wherever, from one of these methods, go ahead and import it into Clear Out Phone, download the results, open that up in a new sheet, and then go ahead and sort all the columns A to Z. Remove everything that says fixed line. So select all of the rows that say fixed line, remove them from the sheet. You'll probably have half the leads that you started with, but those are the people that you can actually reach out to. Now, there's tons of questions about whether cold SMS is legal or not and all this stuff. But the truth is that at a low volume, a couple hundred a day, maybe even 1,000 a day, there's nothing that's going to happen. I've had like probably 100,000 SMS get sent over the last couple of weeks between me and all my clients. And none of us had any single issues. As long as you don't send it to a state that's actually illegal, because I believe it's actually illegal in Texas. The entire US, though it's not, it's completely fine. And the truth is that we are looking to actually help these companies. Okay, so there's no really risk here. There's nothing that you need to be afraid of. If we're actually genuinely helping these companies, we're providing a service that can actually grow their companies and change their lives, then we are doing them a service. So keep that in mind when you do this outreach. Once you have a lead list, you will then remove the fixed line numbers, as I said, and then basically download that as a new CSV. And then we can go ahead and build this out inside of GoHighLevel. Now, if you don't have GoHighLevel already, I would recommend getting it. But basically, this is how we're going to send all of these messages. And to do so, we will basically go ahead and import those leads into GoHighLevel. So let me go ahead and open up GoHighLevel and show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so now that we're in GoHighLevel, I'm going to just quickly break down how we'd actually go ahead and import those leads. Let's say that we had a CSV file. We would simply go to contacts and press import. And then in there, we can basically import all of them as contacts, go to next, and go ahead and upload that CSV and basically create them as contacts. So I have an old list of leads right here, and basically we can press create contacts just like so. And then we can go ahead and map out all of these columns, right? So this will be the company name right here, or I guess business name, I suppose. This right here will be the phone number. And those are all the two things that you really need, to be honest. I don't think you really need more than that. So you can press don't import data from 6 unmapped columns, go ahead and press next. Okay, and now we want to basically just create a smart list, and we can name that the date, just like so. And that's pretty much all we need to do to actually bulk import all these contacts. So once they're actually imported into GoHighLevel, we go ahead and send them an automation and put them in an automation. It'll basically send them SMS messages. And by the way, for this, you do need to be A2P verified. So if you're having trouble with that, you can go ahead and look in the description. It says forever-atp-verified.com or something. It's a little video. I do one-time implementations for like $9.97 for people to get like verified forever. So once you get verified once, it's a method where it allows you to get verified for every single sub account that you make forever. So you never have to worry about it ever again. So if you're interested in that, you can always check it out. But from there, let me go ahead and show you the automation that we're going to be adding them to. So while that's actually working, we can see that all of the actual companies went ahead and got imported in here, which is great. We have 722, which is a great amount for, 1 day of sending, or about 700 or so. And the way you would actually go about doing this, it looks like it's about 400, is go to automations. And in here, I have some cool SMS automations that I'm going to use. Now, the main one that I'm going to use right here is this Q/pitch SMS right here. This sequence is basically super simple. It basically will send them a hook message, which we can basically change to the specific service that they offer. So do you guys do roof replacements, or do you guys do replacements? Just like so. And obviously you wouldn't want to do this to a roofing company because like the results would not be that great. We want to stick to a smaller sub niche. This one said insulation. You could do home security systems, garage epoxy, whatever it is, just something very small and niche, just so you can get good response rates. Is this business name, or was I referred the wrong number? And basically if they respond, then they'll get one of 3 pitches. Now we can basically change this to our name just like so. And we have a couple of different angles to go ahead and send them, right? It's super simple. It's a great way to get messages and get responses. Once they respond to one of these pitch messages, we are going to get a notification to basically call them up immediately. And you can use this resource right here to do so. You go to conversations, you choose the lead that responded positively to the pitch, and you call with this script, right? And I'm not a big fan of using scripts, to be honest. I'm a big fan of scriptless selling, and that's what I teach. But this right here is a good foundational script about like introducing what you do. You got to get them laugh, make them enjoy the conversation. Discovery, learn a little bit more about their company, label them, basically set that appointment, and book them in for the appointment on the actual call still, so then they can see where the pre-call via cell is, how to join, all that good stuff. But basically, to add all these contacts to this automation, all we have to do is go back to the contacts tab, go ahead and select the actual the import that we did, the smart list, go ahead and select all the contacts, and go ahead and press trigger automation. Now we can call this whatever you want. Basically, you choose the workflow that we just had right there. So Q/pitch SMS. We want to send them in drip mode. And let's say you're going to start sending tomorrow, which is the day before Easter. So I wouldn't recommend that, but just in case, just for example, just kind of show you what this looks like. Let's say you're going to start it at like, I think 8 a.m. is probably a pretty good time. So we'll do 8 a.m. And then you're going to go ahead and send 7 messages every 5 minutes, just like so. And you'd add to automation. Now this will schedule this automation to be run for tomorrow. Remember, you have to be A2P verified. If you have issues with that, link in the description for that. But you can basically send this automation, and every single time you get a positive reply, you can go ahead and use this script to book them in an appointment, and then you can basically go through your whole selling and sales process. So how do you actually know that this system is working? Okay, how do we track our metrics? How do we figure out what's working? Because I'm telling you right now, if you just did everything I told you to and reach out to some kind of sub niche, you're probably going to book a ton of appointments. I mean, I literally got a message from a client today. He booked like 5 appointments in the last hour. Like, it's very, very good, especially if you're reaching those untapped markets. But the problem is a lot of people don't systematically track what they're doing, so they can't improve it and iterate. And remember, we are going to talk about how to remove yourself from this process. I know this video is a bit loaded, but basically we have a metrics tracker here. So the way that this works is every single day for the day before, you're going to go ahead and log how many you sent, how many pitch messages you sent, your positive replies, and then more importantly, your bookings. Now, if you do this every single day for a couple of days, you'll get a better idea about like what your pitch rate is, what your positive reply rate is, and your appointment booking rate. Now, if your appointment booking rate is at least 1% or better, you can scale the system. Okay, you don't have to make any more changes. You just have to do more SMS. So you could send, 1,000, 1,500 a day, and you'll have like 15 appointments a day. And this is the key to actually scaling a system like this. And before you want to delegate it, before you want to get other people in place to call for you and do all this stuff, you need to make sure you know your metrics so you can know what to expect and how many people you're going to need. And more importantly, like all the information to go ahead and delegate this. So that is the entire system from start to finish. Everyone runs this system, but nobody knows how to do it right, how to reach out to the small sub niches, how to position yourself in the right way, and more importantly, how to actually handle those set calls. So these guys think like, oh my God, I've never gotten a call like this because it's so different and unique. And you'll know that you're doing something right if you get people to say that to you. So after all of this system, let's go ahead and walk through how to actually remove yourself from the process so you don't have to do any of this. So first things first here is hiring setters. Now, hiring setters is extremely important, okay? Like you can quite literally remove yourself from the sales process. You don't need to be making money to hire setters because you hire them on a pay-per-result performance package. Like you don't have to have a ton of clients before you do this. You can do this quite literally right off the bat. And the people that aren't willing to do this, like probably won't succeed as soon and fast as the people that are. So go ahead and build this system out. Now, once you have enough meetings and you are, basically booking some appointments in, you have, a V1 of like what the system is looking like, you know what your metrics are, you're booking some appointments. We want to go ahead and build a good setting team. Now, keep in mind, having like 1 to 2 good setters is much better in my opinion than having like 5 to 6 bad ones. So put a lot of, time and energy into this. Make sure that you are strict on your interview application process, just so you actually get those A players if you can. Obviously, you might not have a ton of revenue or might not be making a lot. Ethan, the example I shared in the beginning of this video, literally had no experience, no revenue, no clients, and was able to build a successful team that was booking him anywhere between 10 and 18 appointments a day. So it's completely possible without revenue, without clients. Now, here's the actual pay structure for these setters. If I were you, the best one in my opinion is pay per qualified show. Okay, if you're lacking cash up front and you don't have a ton of money to invest, that is when you want to do a pay per close and basically, give them 5 to 7% of a closed deal. But obviously with an agency offer, it's a little bit more difficult to do this just because of the lack of clients and the state of the market and how often they've been burned and all of that good stuff. So what I would recommend you do is go pay per qualified show. Basically paying your setters anywhere between $50 to $100 for every single time that you get a qualified prospect show up on the call. Now, however, you do need to make sure that you are very clear on what you mean by a qualified show. Does the company need to make a certain amount of revenue? Do they need to have shown up in a certain place, not on like the job site? Do they need to, be the owner and have all the decision makers on the call? Like whatever you determine to be a qualified appointment, that is what you want to pay for. This incentivizes the setters because they get paid much more often, so then they won't churn every single day. Because I see so many agency owners are like, I need hiring 5 new setters, hiring 10 new setters. It's like the reason why you have to do that is because you can't keep setters because you don't pay them. And that's usually what comes out of pay per close, and especially a low amount from pay per close. So pay per qualified show, super, super good. I would recommend going with that and just moving forward. So as far as commission goes and tracking, you can pay them out every single month. I used to do in the 3rd. And here is a simple little payout tracking sheet that you can make something similar to this, where basically you go over the deal type, you go over the date of sale and the commission percentages or how much they make off of that deal. And also you can give them your call recordings just to like verify whether or not your meetings are qualified and whether or not they should be paid for them. So they're super simple. It's just a simple SOP on how to do that. You can have them fill out a contractor invoice template because that's how we basically handle setter payouts. And then as soon as that's done, let's go ahead and go into the internal systems that you have to build out to actually get these setters on board. Now, I'd really recommend setting up Slack if you hire setters or want to build a successful team. Have your general chat, your end of day channel where basically they will send end of day reports every single day of how their day went and all that good stuff. We can break down how that works. Booked calls, so then they can see every time someone books a call to build up that culture and momentum that everyone has. The closed deals tab, so they can see more specifically when they're getting paid if they're a commission basis. The no-shows, the cancels, non-sales wins, and new clients. So the Slack breakdown is super simple. I really recommend the EOD channel. And the way that this actually works is having a simple EOD form that looks something like this, super simple, where basically they go over how many appointments they scheduled, how many appointments they booked, whether or not they filled out the setter tracker and setter commission tracker, which looks something like this. There's obviously better ones that you can get that have tons of room to grow on there, but this is a good starter one just to get going. And yeah, it's a really important channel. Obviously, the booked calls channel, the closed deal channel. And then the most important thing, in my opinion, if you want to have a successful team of setters, is having daily start of day meetings. Okay, every single day, meet for 5 to 15 minutes, just hype them up for the day, maybe even show them what they need to know, train them, do some practice, mock calls, whatever it is. Just get them ready to go for the day, because every day, like, it's hard to be a setter. Like, it's hard to dial constantly and, be in the position where you have to do all this, but like, it's so worth it, and you learn so many skills, and you can also push that and explain that to them as they work more and more. So I want to quickly explain like how I find setters, because that's one of the things that I think a lot of people have questions on. So finding good setters is all about reaching out to communities. Okay, if you're in Reddit communities, school communities, Discord communities, Facebook groups, like, those are the best places. And you want to basically make one long message that explains the offer, the benefits, what the expected pay is, or the on-target earnings, the OTEs. And from there, you can basically, at the end of it, have an application link, which is just a simple form, and asking them, various questions about themselves. And at the end, having them submit a loom. Now, if they don't submit a loom, do not even interview them. But if they go through that process, you like who they are, you like all their submissions, you can basically hop on a 30-minute interview call, ask them some simple questions, and I'm going to go ahead and break down now, like, what you should actually be asking them. This right here is a simple hiring bench, and these are some application questions that you can ask on the actual application, as well as interview questions. Here's some good ideas for the questions right here. So there's a couple right there. You can always pause the video and check them out. But basically, you can send a test assignment as well if you want to be really picky and have them do some cold calling to see if they're good, and some questions that you can ask yourself to basically see if they're a good fit for you. Now, I won't release this because this spreadsheet is very valuable and very helpful for all of my guys that are in the program. But these are just some general application questions that you can go about hiring them. You want to just send a ton of these messages to these groups every single day. If you send like 5 to 10 messages for each individual group on Discord, on school, on Reddit, on Facebook groups, on Instagram, you'll find that you'll have a ton of applicants in here, and you can basically make decisions off of who you think is going to succeed, interview them, get them on board, and basically start the onboarding process. So as far as the onboarding goes, you want to go ahead and add them to GoHighLevel, and make some SOPs for them, get them all set up so they actually understand what's required of them, and basically explain the roadmap and the ramp up process. I recommend assigning some kind of boot camp for them, a simple setter boot camp that can basically explain different parts about like, your company, about what you do, and about like what it's expected of them basically. And just make sure you're constantly communicating with them, and remember the 5 reasons why someone's not doing something. If they are, this is directly from Alex Hormozi. It's the diamond. It's either that they don't know what they have to do, they don't know why they have to do it, they don't know how to do it, they don't know when to do it by, or number 5, there's something blocking them from doing it. So if they're not working, or they're not succeeding, or not getting the results that you need them to, it's either a skill level or it's one of these things. So keep that in mind. Now, once all of these systems are actually in place, it's so easy to book tons of appointments. I mean, it's absolutely a joke. And the way that you can actually integrate this with cold SMS, by the way, is like have one channel that basically gets all of the cold SMS positive replies get sent to, and have all of your setters have access to that channel. And the first person that can call, because we want the best speed to lead, obviously, gets the booking. So that is probably the best way to build this out. You can get like 4 or 5 setters in that same channel and basically just increase your volume, scale, get tons of appointments at the calendar. Make sure your team is well fed, make sure they're happy, make sure you're talking to them often. And if they don't do something that you need them to, or they're not working in the way that they should be, just remember to go back to the Hormozi Diamond. But hopefully this video has been extremely valuable. Hopefully this will give you some insights and ideas into how you can actually build an appointment booking system and a client acquisition system to sign tons of these clients, whether you sell AI services, ads and AI like my agency and my program clients, or whatever you sell. Doesn't really matter, to be honest. If you need to book appointments, this is the best way to do it. So without further ado, I will see you in the next one. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll talk soon.